The immediate action of passing same-sex marriage bill 1882 is to normalize predominantly homosexual activities such as anal sex and require their promotion in the schools as a legal, normal activity and part of the sex education who will protect the children. There are more new HIV infections among young black men who have sex with men aged 13 to 29 than among any other age group. When you refuse to go to sex ed, you then become the group that is discriminated against. The anus was designed for exit, not entrance.
Dr. Jacobs?
My name is Dr. Jacobs. I'm an infectious disease specialist, and I've seen the pain and hurt of the AIDS epidemic. This has been identified as one of the most severe health problems facing the district. It's a generalized and severe epidemic affecting the good citizens of D.C. A shockingly high number of 6% of heterosexual black men, 3% of black women, and Hispanic men in the district are HIV positive. But this number pales when compared to 46% of black and 20% of men who have sex with men who are HIV positive. The immediate action of passing same-sex marriage bill 1882 is to normalize predominantly homosexual activities such as anal sex and require their promotion in the schools as a legal, normal activity and part of the sex education. Recently, a man lost his job in Massachusetts for simply expressing disagreement with same-sex marriage. Brookstone's termination letter to Peter states that in the state of Massachusetts, same-sex marriage is legal. The Centers for Disease Control, Federal Drug Administration, and National Institutes of Health tell us that while new HIV infections have decreased among both heterosexuals and injection drug users, the annual number of new HIV infections among men who have sex with men has been steadily increasing since the 90s. The Surgeon General has stated condoms provide some protection, but anal intercourse is simply too dangerous to practice, and this is on an updated FDA website. Anal sex has higher HIV transmission than vaginal sex. Estimates are as high as 1 life-altering HIV deadly conversion for every 20 anal sex acts. The people of the district who are already suffering more than anyone who should suffer from HIV/AIDS should be able to vote on Bill 18482. Who will speak truthfully about the risks of same-sexual activity in the district after 1842 is passed? Who will protect the children? There are more new HIV infections among young black men who have sex with men aged 13 to 29 than among any other age group and racial group of men who have sex with men. In a Washington Post article, AIDS Crisis, Serious Times Calls for Serious Measures, the author exhorts down low brothers to don't go so low to become a murderer too. The people of the district who are already suffering more than anyone should suffer from HIV/AIDS should be able to be informed about their risks and vote on this issue, which is of life and death importance to themselves, their families, and their children. Let the people vote.
Thank you, Dr. Jacobs. And Reverend?
The anus was designed for exit, not entrance.
Dr. Jacobs, I had one question for you. Did you attach to your testimony, or do you have any research that's been done with regard to the effect on HIV/AIDS, which is the essence of your testimony, in the 6 states that have legalized same-sex marriage?
I don't have those statistics, but I know that there has been people from Massachusetts that have been saying that they feel that there are increased funds being spent. But I think the immediate effect of any law, all of these are all 1 or 2 years, is the longer term. And right now, for example, in Montgomery County, there are various classes that people may or may not accept. Once this becomes law, it is part of the health education. If you want to avoid your child being taught that anal sex is just as safe as vaginal sex, you can opt yourself out. Once it's law, you will not be able to opt yourself out.
Thank you. Mr. Catania, do you have any questions?
I do, Mr. Chairman. I just have to respond. Ms. Jacobs, are you a district resident?
No, I'm an infectious disease in Rockville, Maryland, but I do have patients who come from the district, and I have become involved in the schools because of concerns about that.
You're not.
I'm a physician who cares for people who come from the D.C.
Now, are you aware that homosexuality has been taught as pursuant to regulations since 1979 in D.C. public schools, but marriage is not now, nor has it ever been part of the curriculum, and nothing in this legislation would require it to be part of the curriculum?
In terms of, once it is the law, in Massachusetts, when it became the law, anal sex became taught as part of the curriculum as normal and healthy.
Jacobs, we're talking about the District of Columbia, which is about 1,000 miles south. Nothing in our law that we are passing today would require anything about marriage to be taught. And isn't it also true that in the district, pursuant to our regulations and longstanding law, that all sex education materials are to be shared with parents? Parents have the authority to object and to take their children out of sex education in the district, which is different than in Massachusetts. Are you aware of that, Dr. Jacobs?
I am aware that students are terrified to be taken out of sex ed. They get on their knees and beg to their parents to be included, because to be outside is to be labeled as the conservative. To go to the library while everybody else is in class having sex ed means you then become when you refuse to go to sex ed, you then become the group that is discriminated against.
Well, Dr. Jacobs, our law is very clear. Parents are given the authority to pre-approve and to withhold certain instructions from their children. It's been a long-standing part of our municipal regulations. And I somehow think that that's a nice compromise that respects the importance and the prerogative of the parent, while also allows us to have a curriculum that is consistent with the law of the city. I'm a little perplexed, to be honest, by your legislation. You seem to be implying that because there's a high rate of HIV among gay men, white or black, that in and of itself should disqualify the population from the rights and responsibilities of marriage. Is that your testimony?
My testimony is that there is a significant risk to anal sex. The anus was designed for exit, not entrance.
Well, I'm just trying to
and when you
Dr. Jacobs,
when you normalize marriage, I'm telling you,
Dr. Jacobs, we're on limited rounds, and I know you're new to the district, but the way it works here is we ask questions of the witnesses, okay? And so if your testimony is that you're only eligible to marry if your population has a low HIV rate, then the first in line, because the lowest HIV incidence in the city, according to our 2008 epidemiology, are lesbians.
This is not my argument. I am
only marry lesbians.
You haven't allowed me to speak, Mr. Catania.
Okay, well then please enlighten me.
You asked me if what I gave is a specific piece of information as an infectious disease specialist, which raises concerns for me. And I think that the people of the city should be allowed to be aware of this information and to vote. They may choose to say something such as marriage and the vagina and the penis are designed to go together,
Dr. Jacobs,
and the penis and the anus is not.
I think the people of this city are entitled to decide whether or not they marry someone of the same sex or the opposite sex, and that's what this is about.
Yes, I hope they will get to vote.
I wish we would have had same-sex marriage 30 years ago, to be perfectly honest, because I think there would be thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of gay men who would be married and alive today if this society would have afforded them the same equality and the same normalcy and the same dignity as is afforded opposite-sex couples. I believe in 1977, when the first marriage equality bill was introduced in this council, had it passed, had we exposed gay and lesbians to an appropriate, dignified avenue to channel their love and affection, we would have far fewer people dead today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
May I respond?
No, there's not a question.